He appeared quiet, shy, and even invisible. A teacher, a husband, a father living an ordinary life. But behind that ordinary mask was a very terrifying serial killer. A man responsible for dozens of unalivings across the Soviet Union. Today we're talking about Andrei Chikatilo, known as the Rostov Ripper. I'm Rach the Gem. Welcome to Serial Killers from Around the World, where we explore the darkest minds, forgotten monsters, and the crimes that still haunt history. But first...
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
Last week I asked you, which one of these three people do you think is a serial killer? Thank you for everyone who participated in the comments. If you haven't watched last week's episode, click the link to watch. For the viewers who did watch and participated, here's the answers. If you chose A, you chose Ivan Milat. You were correct. He was also known as the Backpack Murderer. He killed 7 young backpackers in New South Wales between 1989 and 1992. His 7 confirmed victims were 5 foreign nationals and 2 Australians aged 19 to 22. He would offer his victims rides while hitchhiking before taking them into the forest, where he would assault, torture, and unalive them. He then would partially bury the bodies in shallow graves. He was caught after an English hitchhiker who narrowly escaped his attack identified him to the police. He was arrested in 1994, and a search of his home revealed possessions belonging to the victims and weapons matching those used in the unalivings. If you chose B, you chose Doris Marie Payne, who was an American convicted jewelry thief. If you chose C, you chose Raymond Abbott, who has a firearms violation and is currently an escaped prisoner and on the wanted list. Here's the game for this week. Don't forget to drop your guess in the comments. One of these 3 people is a serial killer. This person shocked the nation in the late 1990s and early 2000s. After it was revealed, they had poisoned and killed several people close to them. Often described as appearing quiet and unassuming, they targeted acquaintances and family members using poison to make their deaths appear natural or accidental. Investigators later uncovered a pattern of financial motives tied to the insurance money and personal gain. Their crimes drew intense media attention because they challenged the stereotype of who could be capable of serial murder, especially given their age and outwardly ordinary life. They were eventually arrested, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison. Drop your guess in the comments below, and we'll reveal the answer next week. Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo was born on October 16, 1936, in a small Ukrainian village during one of the most devastating periods in Soviet history, a time marked by famine, poverty, and war. His early life was shaped by extreme hardship. Food was scarce, and Chikatilo later claimed he didn't eat bread until he was 12 years old. Hunger was so severe that his family sometimes survived on grass and leaves. Adding to his trauma were disturbing stories told by his mother, including claims that an older brother had been kidnapped and eaten during the famine, though this was never confirmed. Whether true or not, the story left a deep psychological imprint on him. World War II intensified the chaos of his childhood. His father was sent off to fight and later taken to prison, leaving Andrei alone with his strict and often abusive mother. He witnessed bombings, destruction, and violence, experiences he would later describe as horrific and formative. Despite these struggles, Chikatilo was academically strong. He was a studious child who developed a passion for reading and memorization. But socially, he struggled deeply. He was shy, physically weak, and frequently bullied. As he entered adolescence, he faced another major issue, chronic impotence, which fueled feelings of shame, rejection, and resentment. As an adult, he served in the Soviet army, married a woman named Feodosia, and eventually became a teacher of Russian literature. To outsiders, he appeared quiet and harmless, but underneath darker fantasies were developing. During his teaching career, he was terrible at controlling his students. He was mocked constantly, and behind the scenes, he began showing disturbing behavior, spying on kids in dorms, groping students, and eventually escalating to assaults. Despite complaints, he managed to quietly resign and move to other teaching jobs. By the late 70s, his urges had gotten worse. He was hanging around public bathrooms, watching kids, giving young girls gum to lure them in, and essaying them. His teaching career finally ended in 1981 after more accusations of SA. Chikatilo's first unaliving occurred in 1978 when he lured a young girl and unalived her in a violent attack. According to later confessions, he discovered that violence gave him a disturbing sense of control and release. And from that point forward, the unaliving escalated. Over the next 12 years, Chikatilo targeted women, children, and vulnerable individuals, often runaways and people traveling alone. He approached victims at bus stations or train platforms, presenting himself as friendly and trustworthy before leading them into secluded areas. His crimes were particularly brutal, involving stabbing, mutilation, and extreme violence, earning him the name the Butcher of Rostov and the Red Ripper. At the time, Soviet law enforcement struggled to understand or even acknowledge the existence of serial unalivers. Investigators initially believed that one person couldn't be responsible for so many crimes. In one tragic miscarriage of justice, another man was wrongfully convicted and executed for an unaliving that was later attributed to Chikatilo, highlighting the chaos and pressure surrounding the investigation. Despite growing evidence, investigators were misled by blood type testing that incorrectly excluded Chikatilo as a suspect, allowing him to remain free and continue as he wished. In 1990, after years of investigation and surveillance, authorities finally observed Chikatilo behaving suspiciously near a train station, attempting to approach potential victims. He was detained and brought in for questioning. A psychological profiler named Dr. Alexander B. played a critical role in interrogation. By confronting Chikatilo with detailed psychological profile describing the unaliver's motivation and inner thoughts, the profiler broke through his defenses. Chikatilo eventually confessed, not just to a handful of unalivings, but to dozens. He provided detailed descriptions of crime scenes and led investigators to burial sites, confirming his guilt. Ultimately, he admitted responsibility for over 50 unalivings, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in the Soviet history. Chikatilo's trial began in 1992 and quickly became a media sensation. The public was horrified by the scale of brutality of his crimes. During court proceedings, Chikatilo displayed erratic behavior, shouting and ranting and appearing detached from reality at times. Despite his attempts to portray himself as mentally unstable, he was found guilty of 52 unalivings and several additional crimes. He was sentenced to death. After exhausting his appeals, Andrei Chikatilo was executed on February 14, 1994, Valentine's Day, by a single gunshot behind the ear, a method commonly used in Soviet executions. He was buried in an unmarked grave, leaving behind a legacy of horror that continues to fascinate and disturb true crime audiences today. Chikatilo's story is a chilling reminder that some of history's most dangerous individuals don't always appear threatening. Sometimes they hide behind ordinary lives, trusted professions, and other quiet personalities. Thanks for watching and listening. Comment below and tell me which country or person I should cover next.